when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Hello, book clubbers, and Happy New Year! Hope your 2025 is kicking off right. If not, I hope you danced, because that'll help. I think that'll help. I'm Jeff Kanata. I'm here with Lana Bashinsky. Happy New Year, Lana.
Happy New Year. You know, should old acquaintance be forgot? Never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne. Is that the lyrics?
I
What
think
does that
so.
mean? What does that even mean?
It's a Scottish thing. I don't know. It's a ditty. It's a ditty.
That's a song that people sing for some reason.
We have been away for a little while, enjoying our own holidays with our families. Lana's been traveling. I've been traveling. Glad to be back with you as we hit the home stretch here for Reaper's Gale.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a huge chunk to get to today. We got 3 chapters.
Big chapters.
3 big chapters, 19, 20, 21. Our incredibly wise community that comes together every time we start one of these books and tells us our roadmap. This time I was like, this might be too much, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lot to get through. So what we're going to do actually is not have our usual non-spoiler section, because we got a lot of content of these novels to work our way through, and lots of big stuff happens. So forgive us for not having that topic, but keep sending topics in, please. We love getting your suggestions for non-spoiler topics at dlcfeedback@gmail.com. You can also post them on our Discord, which is 5x5 DLC on Discord. Really fun getting suggestions from you, the community. But this week, we're going to jump right in and start spoilers for chapter 19 of Reaper's Gale, where we start with Saren Pedak, who is... She's having some real self-reflective, not so happy thoughts. She's a little down on herself,
She's like,
everyone I love dies, that kind of thing. My love is poison. Those kind of thoughts.
Just love being like, I'm garbage. I
Yeah.
am such a piece of trash, and you know what? I'm going to embrace that about myself.
That's right. That's right. She was violated, and has a lot of remaining feelings about that, and I think it's very believable that she is kind of turning that on herself, and I deserve that. I've always destroyed the people around me, so I deserve that pain.
Mhm.
Obviously not something that is a healthy thought, but certainly one that is understandable.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, all the people around her are just chilling in this mystery realm, this crazy, weird ticed place that's very odd. The sky is white. Okay.
It's sunny, but all the plants are dead. There's like lifelessness to it. I love, there's one sentence she said, her gathered companions were neither gathered nor companions.
I know, that's so good. So she's kind of feeling mopey, and then Fear walks over to make things better, and he's like, "Hey, that spear, you probably don't know how to use that real well, like my old brother. Oh, you remember my brother, the one that loves you, or loved past tense you, because now we both know he's dead.
Both of us are
his sword,
fully certain that he's dead, and also fully certain that you were definitely in love.
Yeah,
came on hot and heavy at a distance.
Yeah, you knew. Listen, I lost somebody I loved. Don't want to get into it. Long story. My brother took her. It's bad. It's a different brother. It's a long. Here's the point.
Troll's
I need
guy.
a purpose.
Yeah. Here's the point. Troll is the best of us.
Yeah.
You don't deserve him.
That's right.
You basically spat on his blade, okay, because you didn't immediately bury it, even though you knew.
take a
Don't act
long,
like you
hard
didn't
look
know.
in the mirror. And she's like, I've just been taking a long, hard look in the mirror.
And he's like,
That's what
okay.
I've been doing.
And he's like, well, fine, I'll protect you. And she's
Yeah,
like,
he's
from what? He's like,
Can't stop it. I'm your protector. Nothing you can do about it.
it's.
I
You'll
guess
probably
my
leave
brother
if I-
liked you, so I guess I owe it to him to give my life for yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Udnas swings by and he's like, hey, look, I found this fish with no eyes. That's weird. Why would a fish have no eyes in this realm if not for the fact that there's never light here, except there's light here. So
Clearly.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in this realm that is, I mean, this whole chapter, I started reading this one where we were trying to have like a bit of like quiet time. I was staying at my brother's house. My nephews were around, but there's still like even like little blips of conversation, kids doing puzzles, talking to themselves. And as soon as it starts getting into like this realm, it has no eyes, but this realm has, I was like, I can't read this right now. I need like nothing but in complete focus to be able to get through this. So they're in a realm that is sort of cloaked in Makra right now. I can't tell if it's the realm as just Makra or if Saren is unconsciously, she's not doing it, or if Silchus, it's like the realm is a reflection of what he is because of the conversations about heritage lines that we'll get into, but it is a mask covering the fact that it is very dark here.
Yeah, it's we find out later that he can snap his fingers and make it daytime or nighttime whenever he wants. So clearly he's doing something to affect that, where he's like, I'll make it look like day.
Yeah.
Just for convenience for all these people that can't see in the dark.
And everybody here, this pouty patrol.
I know.
Everybody
really is.
Wah.
It's the emo team emo,
Yeah.
Teemo. And we have, like you said, we get into this kind of discussion. Udnas is like, yeah, Mother Dark and Father Light, they had 3 kids and they are progressively, more mixture of light and dark. There's like the all dark Andarist. There's Animander, who is dark skinned but white hair. And then there's Silchus, who's like all white. So it's like, phases
blend
of the moon, basically.
One's waxing, one's waning. It is cool. The part that I don't want to get like go too ham into lineages here, but it feels like there's critical info in this in particular, where they're like, yep, 3 sons, and then there's 3 daughters on the other side. We know that those were like the sisters who are fighting / helping each other.
Those are the daughters of Shadow, not of
Shadow.
Dark.
Yes. So there's 2.
That's Father Shadow, Scabandari, Blood Eyes daughters, Menendor, Shaltathalor, and Sukul and Daku.
And then
and Kadu.
Udnas is like, what is it talks about the lineages, and then Silchus was implied to either be their dad, their uncle, another brother.
Yeah.
Not Silchus, Scabandari, the other one?
Scabandari. Yeah, and also all the Tistidur are the sons and daughters of Mother Dark and Father Light also? So that's weird.
Yes. There's a bit of strangeness there that was like not super duper clear. Well,
yeah.
I remember talking through it in my head and making sense of it, but now I read so much past that I've, even though it was yesterday, it's gone already. So we don't have to spend a long time there.
I think it's a bit of, doesn't have to be like literally true. It's sort of, they're gods. So we are all the children of the god. These are my children. I don't know. I feel it's a little more wishy-washy than that.
The only piece that I wanted to specifically talk about that is slipping my mind now is the part where they're like, things will work really well in 3s. And they're like, okay, well, this person is a fourth person. And who is the 4th person? Scabandari. So they're like, Scabandari would be the 4th. And then they go, but Andarist is dead. So it's Scabandari Bloodeye who is somehow also related to the fam.
Right. Well, and then the big deal there is Saren going, how do you know Andarist is dead?
Yes.
You have secret knowledge. I want that. I want that secret knowledge.
Look, I'm a piece of garbage and I know that about myself. I am going to go into your brain while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
I know what I am. I might as well use it, baby.
That's right. So Udnas, like every time he goes to sleep, he has these crazy fever dreams. And he's not sure where they come from. If it's the errant, if it's Menendor, if it's something else. He's yeah, right. He's clearly tripping every time he goes to sleep. And before he even goes to sleep, we have more disagreement from the moody group,
The mood dudes.
Udnas continues to weird everybody out by the things he knows, and says he saw a white crow on the shore, and everybody's like, "What? But he's the white crow. What?" And Silchus is like, I don't know. Maybe it foretold my coming. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I love that everybody. I feel like I don't have any more further information about the white crow.
Yeah.
From when Udnas first saw it, and it spooked everybody as well.
Right.
But I like that everybody's like, liar.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very funny. A clip says, hey, we're being tracked. Silchus is like, yeah, I bet it's Menendor being a weird dragon lady and tracking us. And Clip's like, hey, by the way, we're in a Tist realm. So
the general Tist in the general sense. It's every Tist is there. So Andy, Eder,
right,
etc. Leosin.
And then we have this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, they also just bring up the Children of Light, the Leosin folks, as like a mystery. They're like, "What's up with those kids? Where are they at?" And they're like, "Anyway, onwards."
Yeah. Clip is like, there's probably light here because of Father Light's gift to the Leosin. And Udnas is like, no, that dude's doing it.
I love that he's like, Silchus, make it daytime. And he's like, I can't, what do you want? And he's like, make it daytime. He's like, ugh, fine. Like,
all right.
Everybody is.
Yeah. So then they have this, I think, very cool little discussion where Udnas is basically like, oh, you think you were the first peoples? Do you think the Tist were the first peoples? Everybody's peoples thinks they're the first peoples. Mm-hmm. That's like the whole thing about peoples is that they put themselves, they make the creation myth around themselves. And so who is there? Oh, darkness was first, really? Nothing predates darkness. Chaos doesn't predate darkness. And by the way, can't have darkness without light, and you can't have light without fire, and fire's chaos, and you can't have fire without fuel, so you got to have earth. Drop the mic. Which I thought was actually a really cool sort of musing on, the circular nature of all things. So you can't have, there's no starting point. It's not a pyramid, right? It's a circle. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. And especially because it's like, I guess the discussion of all of that is like chaos being the oldest. And then there's questions about like, well, what about the elder gods? Are those really the eldest elders?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Fear says something about the fact that the K'chain Shamal like bound everyone to time. And that was their great crime, is making time matter, I guess. Yeah. And Udnas ends this discussion by basically like suggesting that Mother Dark wants to destroy chaos. That's her deal. So anyway, so Saren is like, okay, well, that was interesting. I'm going to get some more information about that. I'm going to use my Makra to peer into Udnas's mind. But there's already a whole bunch of people in there.
It's a full house in there.
Yeah, it really is.
I love it. She turns herself, or she generates some kind of Makra snake.
Yeah.
And then literally burrows into the sands of Udnas's mind where he's in a desert. And Featherwitch shows up being like, hey, handsome. And he's like, shut up.
I am so sick of you. You had your chance, honey.
Yeah, I know you want this now, but I don't want no scrubs.
That's right. Too little, too late. I have moved on. That's right.
Yes.
But she's like, no, and she tears off all her clothes. Look, take me now.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
It's like, now you're just desperate.
Like, oh, this is not, it's giving pathetic. Okay. It's giving thirsty, honey. And she's like, he's like, why are you having this conversation with me when people are present? And she's like, and it's Menendor who's also in there.
Yeah.
Flying around in his brain, in his dreams, as well as, and they're actually chasing them in the realm. They have this whole conversation, and then Udanos is like, but it's so funny that you said that Menendor is like way over there. You clearly didn't get it. And then he walks up and he starts strangling Saren in a snake form, but also IRL, where she pops awake, and he is rightfully being like, you are intruding on my mind. You are
such a rad moment.
Good.
Yeah, where he's like, there is definitely somebody else in here. And it's you. Like, looks right at the camera, It's like, Saren's like, he sees me, and then he just grabs her neck. And then, we cut right to her waking up, and he's really choking her. Oh, so sick. I
can picture grabbing a snake and it writhing, smash cutting to an actual writhing person. Oh, it's so cinematic and cool.
And then Fear's like, I just told you I would protect you with my life. I will destroy him. And she's like, no.
Saren's like, please don't. I deserve this. But it's also very powerful for Udanos to, like, the hurt that he feels and being like, you of all people have been hurt this way.
Yeah.
This is not, and now you are hurting me. You are, I can't
hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah. In the exact same, not exact same, but in the same.
It's a violation.
Violation.
It's still a violation.
I could not think of the word violation. Yeah. Violating him.
Yeah.
Powerful.
I thought that was awesome. And it's funny too, because this is the moment where Udanos is like, still just make it day. Just make it day. And he does. And then Clip's like, yeah, you know what? That dude does know too much. Like, what's up with that? And then we like pan over to Kettle and Withers sitting on the side, just watching all this with popcorn.
They're holding hands, just like,
I
hope everything's gonna be fine. And like, meanwhile, Kettle clearly knows everything too.
Yeah,
right. She's sitting there like, oh man, this is such a bummer. If only they knew everything I knew.
And Withers is like, well, this is what it means to be alive. Is that you're just a jerk to everyone that you meet.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
They're such sleepers, those two. They're always present in these scenes, but always kind of in the background, and always like, Kettle's important, don't forget. But I have no clue.
Oh, she's gonna come into play big time, I predict.
There was something that was said in these chapters now that's itching my brain. That was like, oh, that's got to be Kettle, but now I don't remember what it is. We'll see.
All right. Well, then we head back over to Dreen, where things have gotten bad. The entire economy has collapsed, thanks to our friends Bug and Tehal.
Mm-hmm.
And riots are rampant. People are just murdering. There's mobs roving the streets. And we arrive where Vinit Sathat is just chilling, watching it all go down, just having a little outdoor cafe, a little daytime afternoon tea, watching roaming bands of mobs kill the patriotists.
Mm-hmm.
And Orban Truthfinder strolls up and is like, hey, this seems bad, but also
the fact that you're here,
I kind of feel like you're responsible for a lot of it.
Yeah. This is your fault. Yeah. This is your fault. And also the fact that you're here, don't like that. Because you are a
real creepo.
You're a real creepo, and you do the dirty work. And I think I'm the dirty work.
That's right. Yeah. So he basically says, I figured out, Vinit, that you are this assassin that has been kind of prodding this into happening. That you are Rautos Hivanar's secret assassin. That you are the one that gave money to Garen Eberick's killer.
So they can get out.
And I love how the scene ends where Vinit's like, this guy thinks I'm on their side, but I'm actually rooting for Tehal. Like, screw all these people.
Mm-hmm.
Screw all these rich MFers.
Yeah, he's like, anything, because he's indebted.
Yeah, right.
Which I think
indebted.
Which I think is a good sort of little drop of where things go in these chapters.
Yeah, he's second generation indebted. He's like, he was born into awful. All right, so then we head over to Brawlhandar, who basically is they're dealing with the Dreen forces that are chasing Red Mask and the All after having lost the Battle of Pradagar. He realizes that Red Mask, who I think for the first, I don't know, third half of this novel was kind of felt invincible, felt like always a step ahead of everybody. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like Red Mask is making mistakes.
Seems like he is. It's not even the confidence. It's like the lust for finishing this thing that he's been thinking about, obviously, for so long.
Yeah. And so the supply train from Dreen has been disrupted because of the market crash. They find these weird rock formations that have white faces painted on them that have like little cache of odd things inside. And
the things with the white faces painted on them, they have the things inside. I believe they're like pieces of ships, right? Isn't that what they said?
My cheat sheet says that they are teeth, tusks, and antlers.
Okay, teeth, tusks, and antlers, personally. And I remember them saying like pieces of something that looked like boats, and that to me spoke of, and I'm not going to remember their name, the boat people who were descendants of Telenomas who are not Telenomas.
Right. The one guy from the original Bridge Burners was one.
Yeah, the lady who just wanted to bang all the folks was one.
Yeah.
We got it. We know. They found the boats.
We nailed it. Yeah.
We nailed it. Nailed it.
So then there's this weird new place called Kusan Tapi. That's not on any of the maps. It's so old that the meaning of the word is even lost. So they think that the All are headed there to make their final stand.
It was interesting because in these, I don't know exactly where it is. I think it's maybe Featherwitch. When Featherwitch is talking to the errant, to me it sounds like there's like a language switch that's happening. When she talks to the errant, she's like, I'm your destriant. We're going to go get your shield anvil. Yeah. But when she talks to Unas, she says, I'm the Destra Irant. And then she calls him some other word that I don't remember. It's also, it sounds like Torud or Torrid or something.
Yeah, the Torud Segul.
Yes.
Which means shield anvil in an older language.
Yes. And Torrid was also a name of an Telenomas earlier. But the pieces of it that are similar, like Destra Irant, like so obviously the destriant, makes me be like, is there enough information to figure out what the heck Kusan Tapi means? I don't know, but it made me think about that.
Well, we check in with Bivat, who is also thinking about the battle in that location that will decide the war. And there's not going to be any magic negation there. So it's all going to be a full sorcerer battle. But also she's walking around and she sees this silhouette of a giant person just kind of watching. And she realizes, oh my gosh, there's all these, we're having this war on this land, but we're not the only people here. There's people watching it. There's people it's affecting, which I thought was a really cool insight. Cause you never really get that with these kinds of novels where it's like, oh, our big, main protagonists are what's important, but it does affect. I like how there's bystanders. There's collateral damage always with his writing, which seems very true.
Yes.
And then we check in briefly with Talk, who's just sort of continuing his little his little tete-a-tete with Torrent. They just hate each other so much, and I love it.
So much.
They're feud. Feud is the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't find feud. Found tete-a-tete.
Tete-a-tete. I don't know. Anyway, basically, they have this wonderful little argument where he's like, "I'm gonna slit your throat," and Tuck's like, all right." He's, "I'm gonna shut you up. I'll shut you up when I slit your throat." And he's like, "Okay, man, I'm gonna be like protecting children right now." But like, yeah, I guess you got a point. Like when you slit my throat, I won't be able to talk. I guess that's true. It's really great.
Yeah, I love that he just like so diffuses things, but also can so easily destroy him because Torrent is a fool and a child.
Torrent is just so mad at him all the time, you know. Oh, you. But they're creating this weird situation where they're like putting all the wagons over the water and putting tarps down, and they're like creating this final stand where we're going to have this.
Oh, right, because the area is like
it's like
muddy, slippery, gross, and they're dismantling all their things and making like a boardwalk for themselves.
We're gonna fight on the boardwalk. Yeah. We'll be having some fights. Yeah.
And then they've made like one little raised platform for Red Mask to stand on top of and be like, battle.
Yeah. I kept waiting for there to be some trap that they were setting, but it's just like, no, we're just making a stage for the fight. We're just making a fight platform, you know?
I can only imagine it will matter like soon. Well, it's going to matter, but we'll see like the deeper meaning of it. But part of me is also like, and then the mages come in and they blow everybody up, and that's it. Big mud puddle.
And then done.
The end.
We also get this quick moment from Red Mask's POV where he is revealed to be the one who killed the Renfire elder.
Yeah.
So I think you and I were kind of trying to figure out who did it, and it's totally Red Mask. And I think some of our community was like, we already knew that, and we just missed it. But right here, it's spelled out in black and white, where he's like, yeah, I wanted that guy to shut up and stop telling people who my dad was.
I thought that was very interesting because this, more than anything else, Red Mask is sort of like, I think up to this point had like little moments of jerkitude, but never overtly like, is this dude
is he the baddie?
A baddie?
Yeah.
And then he's like, that guy wouldn't stop talking about my dad, and I hate my dad.
Yeah.
Did he kill his dad too?
Maybe. I think that may be the thing that the guy knew. And he's like, I just hate people that know stuff.
Because he was
he knew too much.
He was like conflating their deaths. He was like, I remember looking at my dad and my hands around his neck. No, my hands weren't around my dad's neck. My hands were around that old guy's neck. I hate like, that old guy.
Red Mask is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, I'm like, he's really going
got
through
some issues.
It's almost like banishment wasn't so good on the old psyche.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be following the crazy man in a red mask. Then we get to, so that's the end of chapter 19, where Red Mask is basically like, but you know what? I got these cool sword-handed dinosaurs. Not going to be a problem.
He keeps being like, I'm the chosen one, basically.
Yeah.
They chose me, but we know, I think we had one internal scene with the dinosaurs, and they're like, yeah, we're hanging with this guy as long as it suits our needs.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Fickle guardians.
I honestly don't know which way it's going with Red Mask. I felt like the whole first part of the book we're building up to have him be this kind
champion.
Champion, savior, liberator. And now I feel like, whoop, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I still think there's a world where the Malazans stumble into the mud pit and they're like, all right, this guy's fighting them. So are we. Let's go.
We're going to blow all this up. The Malazans just blow things up. They're like, we got this cool new technology called explosives, and we love it. All right, so chapter 20 starts with one of my favorite scenes of this week, which is Bruthan Trana, who Hanan Mosag sent off into some crazy spirit realm, and he's like, I don't know where I'm going, but let's do this. And then he's stabbed his body so he can't come back. And Bruthan Trana's like, okay, where am I? He's like, oh. Did not expect underwater. Thought it could be a lot of places. Did not expect underwater.
Also, what am I supposed to be doing again?
Yes. I love that. Where he's like, okay, you have one quest. He's like, all right, I shall go into the trance state and I will stab. And he's like, all right, huh. I know I'm supposed to do something.
Something.
He's like me every time I walk into a new room of my house.
Yeah.
I came here I left my office for some reason. What was it?
He's like, anyway, ooh, a light.
Oh, yeah, that's also me. Oh, the refrigerator.
Yeah.
I bet there's yummy stuff in there. So he sees as you implied, a light in the distance, and it's an Azath house.
Mm-hmm.
Just strolls on in, and guess what? This is the Azath house where Animander Rake had confined Kilmandaros.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Love the like short ramp into that of like, welcome. Oh my God, it's so nice to have you here. You're gonna meet our other guest. They're so cool. Well, don't talk about dragons. Like
Do not mention dragons.
And he's like, there's him being like, there was that topic never would have come to my mind. Now it's in my mind, but I was never going to mention that organically.
Now all I want to do is mention dragons. Now it's the only thing I want to say. I would never have thought of it before because you said I can't. Now I want to.
Oh, so ridiculous, but so cool. And
Yeah.
just
Also,
like,
this character that we meet, Knuckles. He's like, call me Knuckles. I was like, but then there's he says Setch.
I know, Setch.
And I was like, what's that? Is that the first
like,
syllable of something longer?
Me going through every Four Curls of Sail name in my mind as though I can pull even one to the forefront.
Yeah.
It's enough information that I'm like, I know I'm supposed to know, but my brain is rotted.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've just been kind of sitting in this room playing a game. Go ahead.
But they're sitting in this room playing a game. Kilmandaros, the mother of all Four Curls of Sail, because Knuckles calls her beloved, calls her mother.
Right.
They have like an interesting relationship and juxtaposition of personalities, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And interestingly enough, so they're playing this game, and Knuckles is like, "Mother, we got company." And Kilmandaros is like, "I'm so close to figuring out this situation." And she's looking at bones or rice or something. And then he's like, what if I pause the game for 1 second so that we could chat with our little guesty guest, and then he can get right back to it.
Yeah. He hits the start button.
Exactly. And everything pauses. Yeah. Time stops. And Bruthen is like, it's just in this house, right? It's got to be definitely just in this house. But very fascinating.
Maybe not.
This Four Curls of Sail have this control of time, knowing the Kachinchimale lashing everybody to time was their great crime, and the Four Curls of Sail predated the Kachinchimale. So, or they
pretty
were
rad.
It's very, very cool little pieces sort of falling together.
Pretty cool. So they pause time, and he's like, "Hey, Bruthen, you remember, like, your entire thing is to find the names of the forgotten gods, right? That's what you're doing. Stay focused. All right, I'm going to snap my fingers, and when time comes back, you're going to remember that, right?" "Oh, totally, dude. How could I forget that?" "All right, bye, guys. Bye." He just wanders out. What was I supposed to do?
He's like, whatever you do, walk the path with complete confidence. Don't forget about your mission. Walks out being like, is there a path? What was there?
Yeah.
Where am I?
What was I supposed to do again? I guess I'll just wander this way. I was like, All right. So I thought that whole scene was awesome.
I loved it.
I love the description of the underwater world and how there's just all this, all of the bones of everything kind of comes down here, ends up down here. I just thought all that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Second scene of chapter 20, we meet our friend Rudd Alale, Paul Rudd Alale, as I like to call him, who's all grown up and has become awesome. He is, of course, the son of Udnas
and Menendor.
Yeah, Menendor. And he's got red eyes, and he's awesome. And he's got scars, but every time he breaks some bones, they heal back even better than before. Pretty
Picture
cool.
him like gnarled, like tree trunky bones.
Oh, really? I pictured him like awesome look. I mean, maybe Paul Rudd got in my brain a little bit.
I called him
But-
rude, so maybe there's a difference
okay.
of
Rude allow. Shirk is the rude one.
the irony.
Yeah,
He's a little rude. He's like, "Mommy, I need to find Daddy."
Yeah, he is kind of rude to his mom. She's like, "Hey, you're not gonna like, you're gonna protect me, and you're not gonna mess anything up, and you're not gonna let that Silchus guy like get the finished, right?" He's like, "I don't know, maybe I will. I'll do what I want."
Yeah, you're not the boss of me, Mom.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
He's
talk
like, "Okay,
to Dad.
but
Dad's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, you can't. But we don't want Silchus to get the finish because we know what he's going to do with it. We can't let that happen. He's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll meet him and maybe I'll like him and maybe I'll want him to do it.
And then what does he do when they have guests coming? They're in somewhere, and she goes to fly away. And what does he do? He like,
well, he sees the group coming, and
I remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, he sees the group coming, and there's a moment where, at least for me, I was like, I don't know exactly where Rude is standing in this moment. And then it's like the two Mlava the wildcats jump out from the group. It's like, okay, now we know where we are. They jump out of the dragon, and she's like, ah! And it has like a sort of a jump scare reaction. And so Rude's like laughing at her.
Just laughing at his mom, like, the cat scared you.
And she like scowls and flying away, but then is also like, I made my son happy. Ooh, like, very sweet little moment.
And then it's funny because then we immediately cut to the group that's coming, and they're like, a dragon! Ah! They're like losing their minds. They're like, there's a dragon above us. What are we gonna do? Grab your bombs. I got my spear. What do you got? Okay, quick, Ben, open up all the warrens. Do it. Oh, knock my water up.
Yeah.
Anyway. But they're like
them and they're
laughing
being like,
over there, and these guys are losing their minds that the dragon is in the sky above them.
And then Quickman
So
like
funny.
looks over at Hedge, and Hedge is like holding a cusser. He's like, did you grab a cusser just now? Like you would just kill all of us. And he's like, what? I said it could have been bad. Yeah. He's
I
like,
saw
is
a
that
dragon.
your
I
whole
don't know.
backpack full of cussers? He's like, tread lightly, my friends.
Yeah.
Like, just a maniac.
I'm a ghost. I do what I want.
I continue to manifest bombs, the biggest bombs in my
That's
bag.
Yeah. We also have Hedges like, oh man, I do not trust Cotillion, and I know that Trull is on Cotillion's mission, but he's got such a great smile.
I know.
I cannot trust that guy. His great smile.
I wish he would hand me a sword and I'd put it in front of my house.
And then Rude comes over. I say, hey guys, welcome. What language you want me to speak? I can speak all of them. Yeah, pretty awesome. That's how awesome I am. He's like, I want to introduce you to our leader, Ulshan Prahl.
Mm-hmm.
Quick Ben it says that this realm is more Jaghut than Imas. Thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Then the little kitty cats, the Unlavas, the Mlavas, they don't like Hedge. So Onrak like bonks him on the head with his, with his club.
And he's like, that's what their moms would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And we kind of head over to Ulshan Prahl. They walk through this like crack in a giant rock, and like behind that is where all the Imas live, which is pretty rad.
And they are the Imas.
Yes, I got it right here. Bentract.
The Bentract Imas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talon Bentract. Yeah. Which they did join the ritual. I'm not really clear on how they're different, but there's like 3 Bentract that like came to the, because
My impression
Onrak
was
is like, hey, I'm Logros. What's up? Logros didn't take part in the ritual. Oh no, I did take part in the ritual,
Yeah.
but now I'm, yeah.
My impression was that the Bentrak did not take part in the ritual, and the 3 other Thalanamas that were there did take part in the ritual. And they were like seeing these other Amas and being like, we can stage a coup, baby. We can take over.
So Ulshan Pral's clan, the one that they meet, are they were persuaded by Kalava Onas, Tool's sister, to not participate. But they are not Bentracked. The 3 foreigners that like are also there are Bentracked and did participate in the ritual.
Yes. And that's like, I like that detail. They have these Imlava cubs because they're there with Onrak, who's like, you talking about my girlfriend? What? Kalava, you say?
Yeah.
She's so
she
cute.
can turn into a kitty cat too.
She could turn into a puma. Wow. So I just like that they have that connection, even though I don't think we talked to Onrak and he didn't seem to. There was no clear reaction to this being the people that they're with.
Right. And, there seems to be some sort of agreement made with the chief chosen by the Bentract and these bone casters. And I think Onrak is the one who basically is like, hey, you guys want to take over, but you're scared of Rude.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we leave that.
It seemed like those guys wanted to take over, but they were scared of Rude. But then also the 3 newcomers could see that dynamic and were thinking something similar. There's like possible for like great conflict here.
All right. So then the next couple of scenes were the most disorienting to me of this entire section that we read this week. We are in Nimander Golit's POV. And I feel like I have less connection to these characters than almost any in the book. I don't understand what to take away from all this.
I got this.
Okay, good.
So the scene is very strangely laid out because we're in Nimander Golit's perspective, but it feels like he's telling a story, or it's like it's all kind of this internal monologue where he is kind of seemed like he's lost his mind because he has not been sleeping.
Right.
So the crew that we're with is Withal.
Yep.
Sandalath.
Right.
Which is the blacksmith and his now wife.
His lady friend. Yep.
From the island. And then Nimander and Fade and the other Tistandi that they were with, they were all on Drift Avali.
Right.
So Nimander has not been sleeping because I'm going to talk about it in the order that makes sense and not the order that it is presented because it's all messy. He hasn't been sleeping because he has known that Fade was going to try and kill Sandaleth at some point, and he wanted to protect her.
Why? I think I missed why Fade hates Sandalath so much.
I don't exactly.
Is she just nuts?
So
she just wants to kill somebody?
My impression is that the other thing is they're near the Solanda. The Solanda has the heads of all those Tistandi. All those Tistandi were people who sailed away from Drift Avali. And so they know the people on the boat. And the fact that they're alive, I think they're all being driven a little bit mad by that.
Okay.
One of the heads on the boat is Nimander's wife, who he sent away to the boat.
Right.
I think Fade has always been a little bit nuts, but I got the impression that like that whole... just how maddening it is to know that they are there and they are alive, but they are dead and it's like despicable has driven them insane. Why that comes out to Sandalath, I don't think I picked up on of why Fade specifically wants to kill Sandalath. But the pieces I got, everybody's going a little crazy because the Salon is there with their dead loved ones. Nimander has known that Fade was going to do it, so he's a little bit delirious because he has not been sleeping.
Right.
He comes in and... he talks about it in like a strange, I'm not going to get the voice right, like a strange third person almost, where he's like, where it almost dips into Fade's mind for a second. She raises the knife. He can see her like preparing to stab Sandaleth, but he's watching her, has like slithered in the door behind her. stops her from stabbing her, breaks her wrist. She drops
Right.
the knife. They wake up. Everybody's like, what the heck's going on here? Nimander, why are you breaking Fade's wrists, you psycho? And then they're like,
Yeah.
wait, why are you in our bedroom? And
Right.
he's being choked out by Troll, who like
Not
basically
Troll.
by Sandaleth?
Well, Troll's not there. It's
Not Troll. Withal.
Withal. Yeah.
Always crushes his windpipe, and he's like, and they're like, wait, where's this knife go? And they're like,
Yeah.
which one of you is trying to kill somebody? And they're like, okay, with Nimander, you still have your knife on you, so it's got to be Fade. And like, Fade, why? And she is like, had also had her windpipe crushed. She can't talk or something, or she's crying or whatever it is. Yes, because he breaks her wrist. And then she tries to stab him. And so he breaks her other wrist. And then she's still being violent and horrible. So he starts choking her. Withal realizes what's happening, starts choking Fade. And then Sandal is like, stop. You're not like killing our people. You can't kill more of our people. I know that she's a little nuts. I knew that this was going to happen too. That's fine. It's a risk I'm willing to take. And Withal, it's not a risk he's willing to take. Right. So then they go answer. Sandaleth goes to answer the door.
Yeah, because like the cops are there, basically, right?
Well, the other Drift Avali people are there, and Banishar, who washed up on their boat.
Lestara Yill, right?
Yes.
So it's like it's like the authorities are at the door. Like, what's going on in here?
Yes, because they're making a ruckus.
Right.
But also all the Tistandi who are their beds are also like, what's happening here? Just a bunch of bystanders. And while they go talk to them at the door, Withal is like, I do not want my lady being killed by Fade. This ain't not happening. And he looks at Nimander and he's like, I'm going to tell a lie. Back me up or don't. And he throws Fade out the window, who breaks her neck on the ground and dies, supposedly. Yeah. I'm not trusting anybody dying in these books. And then he comes back out, and Nimander, who's like clearly delirious, can't really talk, is like all messed up, but ultimately backs up Withal's lie that Fade was so upset
she jumped out.
She jumped out the window and killed herself. And Sandaleth is emotionally destroyed.
Okay. All right. I mean, I got the sort of steps of that. I just don't understand what I'm supposed to like. I
think it's the tie-in to the Salanda.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the piece that maybe I wasn't getting. Yeah.
And then I think from that they determine Sandaleth and Withal are going to go on the boat and sail away. Nimander got to stay with the other Drift Avali people, and then they will like basically split the Salanda away from the people who are being kind of driven mad by the boat.
He also is going to sort of help the Sheikh, right, Nimander? Yes,
and in this scene they reveal, I don't know if it's a reveal so much as something that I gleaned, that we were like, oh, they got to be Kachin Shamali people. They're like got lizard feet. Right. But I think that they are actually dragons. They are descendants of actually Tistandi. So I think they are all soul taken. Right. But they either don't know it or they're like just half dragon people.
Because then after that, we cut immediately to Yontovis and Yedenderig, who are sailing away. And they're like, man, crazy what happened to that lady who jumped out the window.
They're like, yeah, we both totally believe that she jumped out the window. What about the hand marks on her wrists? Interesting.
That's odd, but okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. That scene just kind of came out of left field for me, and I did not kind of. I was like, all of a sudden we're in this super intense murder plot, and I was like, whoa, whiplash.
I'm sure that I've missed something.
Yeah.
From about Fade. About like why she wants to kill Sandaleth,
right?
Specifically, and why Nimander would like know that. But I was driving home from Vancouver yesterday, and Jeff is at the same part in the book that I am, and I was like, I gotta read. But rather than make you sit in silence, I like read all of chapter 20 and most of 20, or all of 19 and 20 out loud.
That probably is useful.
And I do find that it was useful for this section specifically, because I had to be like, wait, how do I make you understand this? Hearing me say it out loud.
Right.
So I had to like figure that out.
All right. So Yontovis, Yedenderig sailing away, worried about the witches, Pulley and Squish, who are sort of not supporting her queenhood. And Yeden's like, hey, you got to get those witches on your side. And Jan Tovis is like, I don't know if I can do that. Also, the adjunct, not super impressive. And he's like, well, maybe she wasn't trying to impress you. How about that?
Maybe she didn't feel like you weren't somebody she needed to impress.
Yeah.
Honestly, keeping that one in the dome, just in case,
Yeah.
Not very impressive. Well, I didn't think I needed to impress you.
Yeah. Exactly. Not
what a diss.
Yes. Sick diss. So then we head over to Captain Kindly and Pores. They're watching the Salanda and also watching Masangalani. Everybody's watching Masangalani.
Well, I guess when she's not in armor, wears just like pasties.
Nothing. Yeah. I just imagine her in a bikini on the boat, you know. And it's a very funny scene where he's like, I'm gonna write you up for. I want to punish her for wearing such scandalous clothing, and very funny. And then he's like faking a limp to just be nice to me. I'm injured. Very funny.
Well, is he faking a limp? He's like, you better not be limping. I think he actually has a limp, and he's like, stop faking that limp. And he's like, oh, okay.
But he also like it accentuates anytime he feels vulnerable because he wants I remember reading a moment where he's like doing it to get sympathy, you know, which I thought was very funny. And they have this whole argument about the combs. He has no hair, but he loves combs. It's very funny. And then Cord is talking about Crump, and Crump has become this hilarious figure too, where he's the one that's going to get Masangalani, you know.
But I can't tell if he said that. So it's Captain Kindly and what's his face sort of looking down at Masangalani. Then it cuts to Masangalani's conversation with Cord, and being like, the captain himself is over there ogling you, and she's like, everybody's ogling me, basically.
Like, look what you're wearing. She's like, yeah, I know.
She's like, what, do you want me to put my armor on and drown? A nice try, not happening. And then she's like, Crump basically won't stop following me around. And he's like, well, Crump, he's got certain gifts bestowed upon him, if you know what I mean. And she's like, he do? But then when she left, she's like, the Cord is like, that's so funny. I totally got her. Can't wait to see how this shakes out. But I can't tell if they said that to actually entice her or if it was like a weird lie so that then she'll get together and be like, oh man.
I don't know either. I kind of thought it was true, but also like then she's with this guy who's a complete weirdo.
Yeah.
And then he walks up. He's like, oh, by the way, Crump is winning all of our gambling, and he's just owning everybody. He's like, Crump's. I really shouldn't have given him everything.
Oh man, now he's well endowed and with money. Boo!
Like, what a catch!
She's gonna like that.
Then we head over to Shirk Alail, who is on her boat on the Froth Wolf.
She's not on
her boat, right? She's watching her boat. Yes, you're right.
She is with the Malazans who have hired her to guide them.
That's right. And Banishaw walks over and is like, "Hey, I could actually make you not undead if you really wanted that." And she's like, "Dude, you're doing that for you, not for me."
She's like, "Why would I want that?"
Because I'm like, you're trying to get back into the good graces of your Drek, your god. And she's like, you know what? Here's what I'll let you do. Take a little looky-loo inside what's going on in here.
Like, use your X-ray vision that I guess you have. Give me a little once up and down and tell me what's up. And the Utaloo has like buried its roots so far that it's like through her whole body. She's like empty. She's got her old spices and dust in there.
She's like more Utaloo than Shirk at this point.
Yeah. But then I love that she's like, huh? And he's like, what in the heck is that? She's like, I got it under wraps, but I really got to go get scraped out and stuffed with new spices. And he's like, ugh, like what a disgusting way to describe yourself.
She's like, why do I want to be alive again? He's like, but everybody wants to be alive. She's like, no. So I can die? No, not going to happen. But she also says, hey, let me tell you why I would not want, let me tell you about people who don't listen. My uncle, apropos of nothing, I have this uncle. I know he's dead. He's long dead. Anyway, he's definitely not alive and didn't foster a very important person who is a half child of a soul-taken god, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely dead, though.
Definitely dead. 1,000,000% dead. If there's
Just-
anything I've been confident about, it's this.
Just popped into my
Troll
head.
Sangar, definitely dead. My uncle, whoo, super dead.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, so that's Arak Alael, who obviously was the person who raised Rude. All right, so then we have this little side scene with Sirin Kanar, who basically is just delivering the orders from Trimon Knoll to the officers, and starts talking to Hanran Kalag. And Hanran Kalag has just basically failed at everything he's attempted so far. But he says, I'm going to give you orders, and you know what? I'm going to kill you later. It's just a quick little scene where it's like, okay, we're checking in on two characters that I haven't really thought about in a while.
Yep.
But here we go. Then we're back with one of my favorite characters, Janeth.
Janeth.
Who's just like, what? Why does that guy look so familiar? And she starts putting it together. And obviously, she and Tehal have been arrested.
She's back in a cell, chained up again. And Tanal Yathvanar is coming in and consistently gloating over her so much. And she's like, why is he gloating to me?
And like touching
in such a familiar way. Yeah. Ugh. Every time he thinks I'm not looking, gross. What a grosso.
Yeah.
And then the magic, whatever magics that Bug helped sort of ease her mind to remove her memories are fading. We assume because Bug is trapped somewhere. And
I did not assume that. I that's an interesting. Makes sense. I was thinking it's just like she's forced to think about this guy, and so it's like the connections are getting closer together again. Is like
and she's in the same circumstance. It's just jogging her memory. Probably both.
Yeah, probably both. But I love the Bug thing, which is very cool. But I just love this thought process, and then we kind of get the fact that she actually is kind of into Tehal. She's like, I could just find myself in his arms. Ooh, why did I say it that way?
Ooh, stop. I'm so bad.
But things are going to get real bad because Yathvanar is basically telling her, there's no way you're going to forget me this time. I'm going to do things so awful to you.
And he's like, and this time it's not about you.
Yeah.
Not that it was about her the first time, but now if he thought it was anything about her the first time, then it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh, please, somebody save her again. Please.
I know.
On, Bug, get out, buddy. Come on.
Oh, so like, I don't know if this is like too annoying to say. Well, let's go because we'll talk to Bug soon.
I want to hear annoying things that are annoying to say.
Well, just what gets Bug out of he's physically trapped under a rock, but he is a god. He tripped into this Aaron's trap, which he self-describes. He's like, he knew I'd be careless, and I was. But is it that Tehal knows Bug is a god? Can he answer Tehal's prayer? Should he be
That's
drowned?
Interesting. I don't know. It's interesting that we haven't checked back in on Tehal to see where he is. Like, Janeth is like, is he one of these screaming people around me, moaning and awful in the adjacent cells? No, probably not. I have more faith in him than that. And I feel like I also have faith in him, that he anticipated this exact turn of events in some way. That's what I want to be the case, is that Tehal had a plan. He knew he was going to get captured. He knew they were going to figure it out. I don't know. We'll see. But
I keep being like, I'm going to get Coltained. I know I'm going to get Coltained.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I know.
Abrasive for impact.
Well, there's definitely a character coming up that I know is destined for death. I just am like, I know it's going to crush me. We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to Samar Dev and Rulad. He has killed Gadalanak, one of the champions. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, no problems.
Who was apparently
cut off his arms. Whoop whoop.
A joyful fella.
joyful fella, not joyful anymore.
Never gonna hear his laughs ever again.
No.
Sad.
Or his clapping because both arms got chopped off.
He will never give any more rounds of applause.
And she's like, man, he sure dispatched Gadalanak very easily. I bet I'm a little worried about Karsa. And Karsa's like, don't worry about me, babe.
Like,
I'm gonna be fine.
You know how you could really ease my spirits?
Yeah. I imagine him. I have nothing to base this on other than probably some weird movie scene that I saw a million years ago that I can't place. But I imagined him laying on a bunk, just like throwing a tennis ball against the wall while she's
Me
talking.
too.
Really?
Almost that exact. No tennis ball, but I imagine lying on a bunk being like, they're chatting and she's like, I'm so worried about you. And he's like, you know what would help actually?
Yeah. Why don't you get on over here, baby?
Hey, get on.
I love how persistent he is about it. And she keeps going like, oh, maybe I will. No. He's like, okay, but you could just like take all your clothes off right now. And she's like, no.
I like this.
Not doing that.
I like that he doesn't suggest, but he's so like, for like the threatening dude, he's like weirdly non-threatening. He's like, this would ease my spirits. And she's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, take your clothes off. I'd see you naked, please.
And
she's like, naked. No. And she's like,
almost got me. Almost got me.
I was so close that time, buddy.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
He's so direct, but then also so respecting of consent. For this time and this time only.
That's right. And
this is how he's grown.
Yeah, right. She's like, shouldn't you be, I don't know, practicing? Like, so I don't need to practice, babe. Boom. I just imagine the throwing. I don't know why I imagine the tennis.
Well, just because there's like, it's like that thing. It's like, jerks eat apples in movies. Somebody's eating a piece of fruit. He's got that energy when he's in this mode and being like, you want to bang? No. You want to bang? You want to now? Me? Now?
Whenever they tell me to, I'll just go murder that guy. Anyway, in the meantime, let's get it on. Yeah.
He's got that energy. It
really is so funny. Then we head over to Terlak Veed, who's like, Rulad's going to kill Ikariam. I'm definitely certain of that now. Rulad is going to kill Ikariam. It may take 100 times, but at a certain point, and the senior assessor's like, no, he is not a god. Ikariam is my god. Rulad has a super cool sword. That's his only power. He's not a god. He gets all his power from the sword. And I'm like, we're going to chop that hand off, aren't we? We're going to sever that sword.
Get Priest back over here, baby.
Yeah. Oh, that's the cool. And so then we get into Rulad's POV. And that is a really cool moment where he's all sorts of messed up internally. We definitely get a sense of the chaos in his brain, but he's also like, thinking about Tehal and how he's destroyed. He's like, I gotta respect that. He's completely thrown my entire empire into chaos, destroyed the economy single-handedly. But also his brother was awesome.
He's like, this family is the family that knows how to actually destroy me. Yeah. Greece actually destroyed me. And he, Karos and Vicdad or whatever is like, I'm going to bring Tehal in front of you so you can see him and you can dismantle him in the arena. Yeah, and he's like, no, because I know when I see him, I will see Brees and this other person who has destroyed me utterly. And so he's like, no, just take him away. Get him out of here. Drown him. I don't care. Get him out.
Also, Rulad at this point wants to die.
Yeah.
He's like, I am ready to die. This torture, this constantly waking up and seeing the crippled god and coming back to life. It's agony. No more.
Waking up, going to the crippled god. He's still trying to put his little tent back together.
Yeah.
We haven't checked into the crippled god at all.
That's right. I know. It's very interesting.
I think the last we saw with all like tackled his tent off the beach and then hopped into a boat and was like, get out, leg it.
Totally. But things are bad. I mean, the Tehal economy crash. I mean, he describes mothers killing their own babies because they're starving.
They'd rather them have that versus like slowly starving and dying is brutal. Awful. We also barely touched on that scene earlier with the Orban Truth Finder, that there's like a mob that started And they're like, whose job is it to stop this mob? And they're like, oh, they're like, but it's
Yeah.
not slowing down. It started with the people who are suffering the most because they were suffering the most before the economic collapse.
Yeah.
And it's the indebted rolling up and rolling up and rolling up. And this mob is only gaining steam.
Yeah.
And that's also happening in the background.
Yes. And so we find out that this Volcando alliance that was a lie has become real, which is pretty funny. And the Henradi Kalag is going to take the Edur and try to kill those invading Malazans, which is going to be a big part of what we'll get to shortly. But then we move over to this interesting scene between the Feather Witch and the Errant, where Bug is like forced to listen to them squabble, just trapped and forced to listen to them argue about what real power is about, what real control is about. I love this scene. This is one of my pulls for the end of the show. I thought this was so beautifully written and so trenchant.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. But yeah. And Aaron's like, you tried to get Udnas and he like told you to go suck eggs. And she's like, but he'll come around.
Hey. He's obsessed with me. He just forgot.
Yeah. All right. So that's the end of chapter 20. And then chapter 21, we start with back with the Malazans. And we find out that Fiddler and Gessler's two squads have been separated in all these crazy altercations with the Edur. They've got throwing bombs, throwing grenades, and Fiddler does not want to try to chase Gessler's squad because there'll be explosions between them, and they may get friendly fire and blown up inadvertently. So they have to like part ways. Things are bad. Things are crazy.
The Edur are starting to use they're not using Lethari tactics of just kind of like roaming around and looking for people. They are using something that one of the Malazans says it's probably their more natural battle tactics.
Yeah.
But it is more like the Malazan battle tactics. It's like they don't care about coming in and killing us. They are here. They're fine with getting in and wounding us and backing out again because wounding us slows us down. It leaves a blood trail. It makes us only easier prey when we actually need to.
Meanwhile, Fiddler's group is getting real dark. I mean, they're cutting fingers and ears, and Smiles has started cutting off wangdangers. She's collecting wangdangers, and no one likes it. Not even this reader. No one likes it.
Smiles honestly getting smilier and smilier.
Yeah.
She's like loving the battle. Everybody who's commenting with the blade, she's like, that's my man.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. She's like, we'll get to her laughter in a second, but I love she's like cutting off a little wing there. She's like, look, they're like worms. Look, everybody, look.
Everybody's
They
like
get gray after a while, and everybody's like, oh.
And she like stinks because it's like this rotting flesh she's lugging around with her. Hilarious.
Oh, so gross. Meanwhile, Bottle is inside a cat, just checking out stuff, and he's like, "Let me find out Hey guys, I found a place we can go to right now. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome, everybody! It's totally safe. Let's go. It's gonna be awesome." And they're like, "What? A safe place? We're on it."
But I just love that there's like a building tension to that moment because they're basically describing how bad the battle is.
Yes.
It's worse and worse and worse, and you're like, they're going to maybe be closing in. We're like sort of holding our breath and being like, is anybody around us? We have to find something to know if we can enter this town safely.
Right.
And then Bottle's like, oh, yeah, we can just walk in.
Oh, it's so safe. It's like the safest place ever. Like, let's go.
Yeah. And
so we find out why it's safe, and I love it so very much.
They head on over to the tavern, ye old tavern, where there's hooting and hollering and good times abound because Hellion has finally caught up with the rest of people despite powering ahead on the old bar crawl of destruction.
Her plan that we heard about chapters ago, which is like, we're just going to go tavern to tavern. We're just gonna take over tavern to the next tavern and then take over the next tavern, which sounds like a crazy person's plan. Turns out to be the most brilliant plan because it's like working better than any of the other Malazan plans.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's just so awesome.
And she's like more obliterated than we've ever seen her.
The way we check in on her, we cut to her and she's singing and she's realizing that no one else is singing as she's singing. It's just the greatest. She's like, I think everybody stopped singing, but I'm still singing. I love the way he writes from her POV when she's just smashed. It's just the greatest, like how she's just noticing things late, you know, and like disregarding how that doesn't matter, you know. It's so good.
It's so good. And then the various conversations of people with her reports, her, what are they called? The folks, the Marines that she's with, like swearing by her being the best. And like as soon as she gets into battle, she becomes absolutely stone cold sober with like ice in her veins, gives perfect directions. We make it through, and then she is obliterated by the time we reach the doors of the next tavern. And she's the first person, I think, who actually noticed that. She was like, they are like, what the heck has happened? Well, how did you get so far in? What is up? And I think, I don't know if it's her or somebody else who points out that they were like, oh yeah, if we just go and all the people that have been abused in the town, we were like, hey, we're going to get them. They come get them with you. Yeah. And so it's like showing the people that they are liberating are the indebted. They are these people who have been mistreated by the others. And that's how they've been making their way.
It's so great because they're just like partying in this tavern. Fiddler walks in, runs over, gives Gessler a big hug because they're back reunited.
Yes.
But then it's like record scratch because there's a pile of heads on the table.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, we're all safe. And what the hell is happening in here?
Like the disrespect.
And she's like, no. They want us in here. Like, he's like, oh, they want us? You mean the barkeep who's hiding in the kitchen? And she's like, is he? Is he? Oh, it's probably because of the heads on the table.
Yeah.
I love this sequence so much. And, they're like, how did you do it? She said, well, we just come into town. We kill all the officials. We kill all the lawyers. We kill all the people that would defend those people.
Yeah.
And then we tell everybody that their debts are free and they can go wherever they want as long as we can be in the tavern for 2 nights. And it works. And Fiddler's like, so this whole plan that we had to come in and they'll greet us as liberators, you actually figured out the way to do that. None of us did it, and you figured it out. So great.
Genius.
So great. Yeah.
The things that they'll do for a drink. I'll figure out how to liberate the whole continent.
Yeah.
If I can have a couple beers.
1 beer at a time, baby. We have this moment. I love the moment too, where she like falls off this bar stool.
Yeah.
She leans back and realizes there's no back to the seat and she just falls down. And she's like, did I spill my drink? Did I spill it? And it's like all over her.
Well, she's on the floor. I thought she was on the floor and the floor was soaked with alcohol. But she's like, did I spill my drink? And Fiddler's like, actually, no, you didn't. Yeah. Somehow you did not.
So funny. And they're like realizing, who is it that, Bottle at one point is like, she's Coltane. She's Dujek. She's one of the greatest. And you know who isn't?
Lacine.
Tavor.
Oh, wait. What did I say? Lacine. Tavor.
Lacine's the empress. But yeah, Tavor, the adjunct. And we constantly keep coming back to this of like, Tavor is brilliant, but not liked. Not held in high esteem. Doesn't have the confidence of her rank and file.
And something to be said about, I don't know if it's not transparency from Hellion, but I think that juxtaposition of Hellion being like just drunk all the time and sort of saying whatever at any moment, and then the action that backs up the things that she said, even though she said it with her chaotic drunken energy, versus Tavor, who says nothing to nobody. And so there's not, even though some of her things have gone to play, many of them have not, or you don't know because she doesn't reveal anything. She doesn't show her
Right.
hand. So
Yeah.
that idea of like, it's just interesting. I'm still waiting for the time where, I mean, we've seen certain things from Tavor actually work out,
Yeah.
but it makes me be like, have they?
Well, I don't know where it is exactly in here, but at a certain point, somebody's like thinking about what her motivation could have possibly even have been to do this. And they, is it Fiddler who's surmising maybe she's at war with the crippled god? Like
Yes.
she has decided to take on the crippled god.
Yes.
Instead of, they thought, they have sort of common interests, or, she feels like this repression needs to not stand, or they need a win, or there's all these other potential motivations for them even making this trip and fighting. But then it's like, well, maybe she sees this war of the gods and she is going to, and I kind of feel like that's the truth, right? That's the truth that we're going to see, is that she has a larger view of it. She has this 10,000 foot view that nobody else gets. And she's not able, she doesn't have the time or energy to be loved by her people. She's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
All right. So now we get to the character that I feel this dread, the sense of this character's going to die and I'm going to cry and it's going to suck. And that's Beak.
Yeah.
Our lovable simpleton, who now is exhausted because he's been keeping the Warrens open for so long. He's been keeping his candle lit, and he has this interaction with Faradan that is really sad. She's like, "You can rest. He's like, "No, you don't understand. I can't." And it's from his POV, so we don't quite get her internal monologue, but you get the sense that she realizes that she's going to have to sacrifice him, and he's like okay with that. And I'm like, when this happens, when he does something heroic and sacrifices himself, I'm just going to lose it because I love this little guy.
Yeah. He has lit all his candles for too long.
Yeah.
So earlier he talks about like Faradan implies that he's going to have to use more candles, and he goes, "Oh man, I hope not all of them."
Yeah.
And we don't know why at the time, and we know at least a little piece of why now. He's had all of the candles lit, and so it is impossible for him to sleep.
Turn it off.
Yeah. Whatever that means. And I love the writing of Faradan is like, you can sleep, and it's almost like an intense, like supportive, like gesture.
Yeah.
I can picture like a clap
Let
on
it
the
go,
shoulder,
buddy.
like you can do it.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't understand, I cannot. And it turns from like this clap on the shoulder to like a gentle sort of caress, and like a sweetness and a softness and a sadness to that moment.
Yeah. When he's like, "You don't understand, I love you, Faradan, and I would do anything for you, but I can't do this because I can't."
I can't.
And then she recognizes that and goes, "All right, well, then keep on doing what you're doing. You're saving us." And it's like, oh, I just know he's going to die. I know it, and it's going to be sad. And
Yeah.
All right. So he is, the thing we forgot to mention at the end of the last scene with all the folks is Bottle seeing hundreds of Adur coming at them.
Yeah. He's still roaming around as a cat.
Yeah. And now they really are a coming. And he's like, how many hundreds? So this is the major assault that's a coming. So Beak.
But there are also, as described, there's about 400 Malazan Marines together in this town.
Yeah. So Beak and Faradan arrive at this encampment. There's a mage there who's like, hey, buddy, dampen. You're so bright. Nobody else can see this because
rain it in.
Mages can see it. But this is the encampment with Fist Keneb, and this is where they've been separated, and Fiddler has decided we're going to wait for Keneb to get everybody back together so we have a stronger group. But the Idur are a coming. And so Keneb decides that they're going to push into Letheris. And they say we're going to, I love the line of, I'm going to we'll face it until we can't face it, or we'll deal with it until we can't deal with it, and then we'll deal with that, or something along those lines. So
yeah.
Which is powerful.
Loved it.
Stuff. And Beak is like, how do we deal with something we can't deal with? And Ferdinand's like,
guess we'll find out when we get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or she looks at him and she says something like, it's okay to die on the battlefield with your friends.
Yeah. No, she says, it's all right to die amongst your comrades. Do you understand me? And he says, it's all right because they're my friends.
Yes.
And she says, that's right, Beak. And then he internally says, that's why no one needs to worry, Captain. I'm like, oh, he's going to die nobly, and it's going to crush me.
Yeah.
It's going to crush me.
Brutal.
Yeah. All right. So then it's just the fight is on. We are in massive battle scenes. Korik fighting, Smiles just giggling as death is happening. He's like, stop giggling. I'm killing people here.
And she's like, it's so hot.
It's so rad. I'm going to cut off so many little wieners after this. I mean, massive battle scene. Fiddler's fighting. Stormy and Gessler are fighting. Korab has this awesome moment where his luck, saves him again, where he trips and falls and like kills 2 dudes on the way down. So awesome.
A couple Korab luck moments. They have like a little ambush set up with Fiddler and all the crossbows. Yeah. And like immediately like Bottle's there handing Fiddler already like another preloaded crossbow, and he's sort of barking orders at folks and being like, again, Korab, give your crossbow to somebody else. You are useless. And he's like, I hit my guy. And he's like, you bounced your quarrel off of the cobblestones. Don't tell me that was intentional. It wasn't. And he's like, sorry, boss.
So good.
Grabs a spear instead.
Yeah, and then falls and spears 2 dudes through the leg as he's falling. So funny. Yeah, so I won't step through all of the battles here, but I thought they were pretty thrilling. Mm-hmm. And now they've reached the tavern. They're fighting in the kitchen itself. We have people, Malazan's dying. We have Edur dying by the dozens. Hellion even sort of has a Korab moment where she like reaches for her. She's like, oh, you know what? We have Herb who's like, I'm going to save her. Again, nobody realizes how often I save her. Everybody thinks she's awesome, but I save her over and over again.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple battles that I think were the only really important ones in my brain. Yeah. One of them is, I think, Smiles and Korik watching Dead Skull.
Oh wait, well let's get to that. First, we need to get to this wild thing that happens. That the audacity of it continues to astound me, the way Erikson does it.
Yes.
Which is we have this huge battle happening.
Yes.
Then we cut to an entire new group of people that we've never seen before. And we get backstories to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
We get entire
that feels integrated.
Yes.
We're
just inside an entire new squad of people.
They were there. They're part of it.
What is happening right now?
Yeah. So does that happen? Because the last thing that happens is like Hellion. It sort of builds up a Hellion in the street.
Well, what happens right before we meet the new crew is Hellion decides they're gonna hunker down in the
Factor's
estate. Right. And there's 100, and she's like, oh, that's okay. I got my shield. And she holds up her shield, and it's the top of an ale cask. And she's like, wah, wah, wah. And then we cut to just new people, entirely new people.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out about Sergeant Badan Gruck, who like lost his virginity to a older woman.
A recruiter for the Malazan army.
Yeah.
Who
highly
was like
inappropriate.
Highly inappropriate. It was like, this could be us. And he like rides away from his family. He's like, no regrets. And then the next town, she's like, well, there you go, cadet. And like,
yeah, you're in the
ships
army
him
now.
off, and then she's gone. Then he's like, I wasn't even that heartbroken or whatever. But hilarious.
And then he's super into this other woman named Kissware, and her sister Cinter was like, hey, she says she doesn't want you, but she's changing her mind. Stick with it. But then they both get murdered.
Yeah, they get blown up.
So immediately we have like these incredibly compelling stories of this entire new group, and we're in it. There's like a number of different scenes where we're meeting Skim and Honey, who are like flirting with each other. We meet Relico and Vastly Blank, who have this hilarious back and forth where Vastly Blank is real dumb, and it's like, tell me where to go, George, and I will love them and hug them. That kind of thing. And we have Strap Mole and Neller, just like an entire new
crew.
I don't know how you felt in that moment, but I was gobsmacked. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Well, all I was thinking of was like, especially when it's like, and here's the people, and somebody like talks about who's going where, and it's all new names. I'm like thinking about that moment of writing that, and like, do you pick the names first or do you have the backstory? So you're like, these are the names, and then you find an interesting backstory to that and nestle it in. Like how you specifically bring that in so seamlessly, so quickly, drop all the little lore drops about those people, and then move on and not have it feel like, okay, when do we get back to the battle? It feels integrated.
It's so frustrating to me. That he just has so many ideas. He's just got this abundance of ideas that he could just throw them away on, it's just this crew could be their own novel.
Yeah.
They're fascinating, interesting, compelling, fun characters.
And I know that I know that we've talked to Steven Erikson about the like Malazan names before and where those come from. But specifically this one, because it's in the middle of this action.
Yeah.
Feels like, why? How?
It's wild. By the way, I got it. I was wrong. Baden Gruck is not the one who lost the virginity to the recruiter. That is the captain, which is Pravalak Rim.
Right.
But yeah, again, all these new characters. By the way, my favorite of the names, if we're talking names, I mean, Skull Death is an awesome name.
Skull Death.
But I love Kissware.
Kissware is my favorite one. No story needed.
Exactly. It writes itself in your imagination. Kissware. How she got that name? So good.
On. And like on. It's so, especially because you're like looping it into this like little romance beat.
Yes. Yes.
So good. So good.
But then we get the story of Skull Death, who is this awesome young, beautiful boy who trains himself to do this badass move. Like he's got one move, but he can do it incredibly well. The two knife, jumping off the moving horse, flipping in the air, stab, stab, stab. And he's like practicing on straw, scarecrow type, dummies. Yeah. Incredible.
And he's got the special scythe blade things.
Yeah.
That are like, I forget the name of them, but they're like not deep enough that they could fully sever a limb.
They're Tulwars.
They're the bone.
No, you're conflating that with the first guy that I said, Baden Gruck. He's got the bone kissers. Which are sickle swords made of ivory tusks.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Even anyway, the name of the sword has a cool backstory that's clear. Come on.
I know. It's sick. It's incredible. But so this Skull Death is awesome. It has this sweet move called the Edged Net. Also an awesome name for a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's hot, men and women, but he's saving himself for a queen because he's like, I deserve a queen.
He's only going to gift his seed to a worthy, noble woman.
That's right.
In the meantime,
give me that queen. He lets boys have him anytime they want.
Yeah, because that's fine. That doesn't count.
That's cool. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And I can make much lewder references.
I know.
I won't. This is a classy show. This is a
I
classy
know. I'm
show.
like, it's riding the line of like, what are the circumstances that somebody's listening to us talk? But also knowing anybody reading these books is reading worse.
Yeah.
It's classy. We're classy.
One of my
We're
favorite
classy.
things about this, just on a sort of stylistic flourish level,
Yeah.
is that the end of the Skull Death little section where we get the Skull Death's backstory. He never spilled this seed before, never even when he was sleeping. Like, I don't know how I don't know. I was a 13-year-old boy, 14-year-old boy. I don't know how you stop that from happening. But
this is magic. It's a magical world.
But the coolest stylistic flourish is that it's like the last sentence or one of the last sentences of that section is Mulvin Dreader, the squad mage, says he was a man ready to explode, which I love. We just drop, and then later Mulvin Dreader comes in and starts healing people, and it's like we have this little nugget of who Mulvin Dreader is. That's just dropped in. We have no context for him at all, but it's like Mulvin Dreader said he's a man ready to explode. And then later, when everybody's blowed up, Mulvin Dreader comes in and starts healing people. And it's like, just like the skill to do that and the fact that feels so awesome that now I know that that's the dude that had this insight into our boy. I don't know. I love that just a little flourish, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you who this guy is yet, but I'm going to drop his name right here. And he's the one that said this thing. Just cool. Just
excellent.
Cool. So then we're back to the people we knew. And this is the moment I mentioned before where Herb is like, man, all I do is protect Hellion. And everybody thinks she's amazing, but I'm the one who's constantly looking out for her. And nobody gives me any credit for saving her life.
I'm not just a hottie with a body, okay?
And he holds up his shield and gets stabbed in the arm because the sword or the spear goes right through it.
It pins his arm to his body.
Oof. Oof.
He's still running out to go save Hellion, who has her ale lid that it instantly explodes because it's not a shield with like all of the lances thrown her way. And her only thought is like, where did I put my flask again? She's like, I'm taking on the back line. And she goes, where did I put my flask again? If I have to die, I might as well go down with one last sip. And I picture her like Neo Matrixing out of the way of all these lances. Two of them hit her shield, explode, don't actually hurt her. One like just rips her shoulder pad off. It shows like all the ways in which she didn't quite dives out of the way, but not for any other purpose than to get one more sip of booze.
Awesome.
And grabs it. But then at the same time, as Herb's running out there, as she's diving away, a massive explosion goes off and kills all of those lancers.
Yeah.
And then I forget who it is who comes by and sort of like grabs her and shakes her and is like, you alive? You should not be that close to an explosive. And just leaves.
It's just it describes it as a Canese woman. I think it's one of the people we met just a second ago. I didn't make the connection of who it is specifically, but it's one of this new squad.
Yeah.
Who's like, do not be near bombs. That's bad.
I love throwing a bomb and then anybody who is near where you threw it. It feels like Helldivers to me.
Yeah, totally.
Like, didn't you know should not be standing next to my mortar?
That's on you. That's on you. I called down that airstrike. That's on you. So, and then Mulvin Dreader shows up and is like, you're going to be fine. I'm going to heal that guy. And she's like, really? Okay. And he's like, there's a lot of people who are still screaming inside the tavern. So now I'm going to go help them.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Just awesome. Just like that. If we never see Mulvin Dreader again, that's enough. Like, it's the coolest. Mulvin Dreader. Awesome name too. So that sort of ends the battle. This is the squad that has come in to sort of save the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's one last thing that I was.
Wait, no, we
like
still
an
have
important piece.
We still have the awesome moment with Skull Death.
Yeah, so Skull Death is like doing some stuff. Hellion is under a table or something somewhere. I forget exactly the circumstance. She's there taking a sip, And she's like, here's my orders. Instead of like barks orders at not Herb or somebody and sends them off. And it's like, well, they might not want to do it. It's like, well, tell them that I'm the queen of this place or whatever. And they have to do it. And they leave.
Well, wait, before that. So the setup for that is that Korik and Smiles are cornered by 7 Edur on the street.
Yes.
The street is blocked off. They're trapped. And there's 7 Edur. They're going to die. Smiles only has throwing knives. Or doesn't have any more throwing knives. She only has her heavy knife.
She used them all.
Yeah,
and she's laughing at them because they're so bad at fighting in groups. But now I don't have any weapons, so
that's right. So they're cooked, and then you hear Skull Death goes flying off the thing, flippity doo, stabarinos, kind of lands on the point of one of his knives and like lands perfectly on
away.
It's just like poof.
He kills all 7 of them in like a bounce out, bounce back. They're all
badass.
Dead. Smiles is like, that's a man for me.
Who that? Who that boy?
That's competence, baby.
Who that boy? So then then we have that sequence you're talking about where Smiles we kind of have this come down of the battle. We take stock of who's been killed.
The
Sans
Edur
and
got
Uruhela.
so blown up that they have retreated. They're not dead, but they have pulled back.
But Fiddler and Gessler are like, man, it's kind of amazing how few people we lost. We're basically still intact.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut over to Smiles and Korik, and Smiles is like, all right, here's the thing. He's only going to have relations with a queen. So you're going to tell him I'm a queen. Right?
Everybody else said that they would say it, and you have to do it too. It only works if everybody says it.
And he's like, you know about that guy, right? Like he's not into ladies. And she's like, or no, he doesn't find that out till later, right? Because he's like, what if? Oh, sure, he's gonna get you pregnant. She's like, he's not gonna get me pregnant. Bottle gave me some herbs. It's all good.
Yeah.
And then Bottle strolls over, and Korik's like, did you give her contraception?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? No. What? No. Those I gave her herbs, but they don't do that. He's like, what do they do? He's like, well, I don't know if they actually do what people
they're like
say
my grandma's, but they're like conversion therapy herbs. They're supposed to make a guy who is only interested in guys may be interested in girls.
Yeah.
So great.
And then we have that moment where Hellions underneath the thing
and sends some orders out, like says like the same way that I would say, well, tell them I'm the queen of friggin' England and get it done.
I'm the queen of Sheba.
Exactly. And dead Skull Death hears her say that, and it's like, a queen?
He's like, do, 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 do. I cannot wait to see how that gets resolved.
I cannot. I mean, his Smile's gonna stab Hellion. Like they're just gonna brawl over him.
Unbelievable.
So brutal.
All right.
I can just picture. I'm just picturing the same like Hellion under a table, wasted drunk, probably covered in blood and like splinters, being like, tell them I'm the queen of this and get her done, and just looking absolutely ragged. And meanwhile, Skull Death is like, what you say?
The most beautiful boy is just there like, oh man. All right. So hey, listen, I love you, community. I love the folks that put together our roadmap. I told you this was going to be long. We're already almost an hour 40 and we're not even done with chapter 21. We're going to power through.
We got it. It's a holiday. Okay. We're still on holiday.
Still on holiday. That's right. So Hedge, back to Hedge. They're back with the Amos. They're singing a aerosol song, a first language song.
Yeah.
That's weird. And Hedge is not down with it.
Yeah.
And he and Quickben are kind of having a little chatteroo. Quickben's collecting pebbles that have to be a certain shape. And they're having this philosophical discussion. And Hedge like knows stuff now. He's crossed the veil. He's He knows things that Quickbend doesn't like him knowing.
And then I like that they keep talking every single time. One of them's like, "This is why I never like you."
Yeah. And this is the moment where the suggestion that Tavor is actually waging war against the crippled god happens. This is where this is. And Hedge has all these theories about like, oh, did Cotillion want, did Cotillion and Shadow Throne, have other plans? Like there's stuff that didn't work out for them. Did they want Sari by Fiddler's side while Kalam was by your side? Like all these kind of conspiracy theories, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Quickbend's like, you know too much, man. I don't like that you know stuff. And then by the end, he literally drops his real name, Quickbend's real name. And Quickbend does not like that.
And Hedge also through this time is like saying weird things like, I don't know if it was this conversation or maybe earlier. He's like, hood above.
Yeah.
And he's
I
like,
love that.
Hood above. You're like giving yourself away, man, of like where in the hell you are.
Yeah.
It's like lower than whatever realm is where Hood's domain is, which is ostensibly one of the lowest.
Yeah.
So he's like revealing information just because he's changed the way he curses now. It's like
so cool. I thought that was so rad. I'm glad you pointed that out. I loved that. It's like saying hell above. It's like you're below hell now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So then we go to Troll's point of view, who is also not super down with this Amos song. It's kind of weird and disturbing.
I love them like getting to this place and they're like meeting this town and they're like, time to sing a song. And they're like, stop that.
Yeah. They're like,
stop that.
Like doing like weird,
it says
like clicking
it
sounds.
Starts in clicking and then it ends not in clicking, but like unharmonious. It's like a weird. Yeah.
It's like more choking and spitting than it is singing. Yeah. So then this Talanamas clan chief, Hostil Rator, comes over and is like, hey, here's the thing about the ritual. It began with passion, but passion gets you nothing. And we know that the refugium, this place that you've been in, is dying. The illusion of it is dying. And we know about a bonecaster who sacrificed herself to stop it, but that didn't even work. And we intended to respond to the call for the gathering, which is that's Silver Fox's gathering, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty cool. Call back to that. And Troll's like, well, you're trying to usurp Ulshan Prawl as the leader of the Bentractimas and end the illusion, but you're just but Rude is preventing that, right? And all the Amos women stop singing. And they're like, what happened? And Onrak and Rude step forward. And he's like, yeah, you know what? You're going to have to die, Onrak. That is your intent. And Troll's like, my buddy.
No.
My buddy's going to die. Well, you know what? I will die with you.
Is it dying or is it's returning back to sort of Talana-Masan-ness?
Oh, interesting.
So I read it as like, hey, this illusion has to end, or we're gonna do something that's going to end this illusion, and that will mean we don't have this haven where we can experience feelings and sensations and the things that we always had. And all that Talana-Mas are like, we don't want to go back to that. We do not want to. And so there's a tension between ending the illusion and being Talana-Mas as we've known them to this point, or not. But then it will maybe decay over time or something, and it will just
post-ritual. Yeah.
And then there's also the tension being between, I think, Rude or the Talon chief guy.
Hostile.
Yes, being like, this will end and the illusion will end and it will be what it is. And Onrak is like, everything's fine.
Yeah, that was this strange moment. You get this. I got the sense. Tell me if you agree that Troll does not believe Onrak.
I
Where
get the sense
Onrak
that
is like, "Don't worry, the realm is not going to die." And you know what else?
yeah,
I'm not going to die either. And Troll's like,
yes, I get
"We're
the
both
sense.
going to die, buddy. We're
I
both
get the
going to
sense
die."
that Onrak is either fully in denial or knows something that they do not.
Right.
And then Troll, there's also some interestingness of like Onrak being like, I accept what you're saying because he doesn't think he's going to die or doesn't think things are going to die. And then
Yeah.
Troll's like, I will stand by him. And then this is like sort of this continued binding of there's two beings as friends, as guardians of one another in such
Yeah.
a way that Onrak is not bound in the same way to whatever choices Rude et al. Are going to make.
Yeah.
It is like somehow punished Onrak for Troll to have tried to stand up for him. And Onrak just looks at him like, everything's going to be fine. And Troll's like, I did this now. Now it's my fault that you're going to die.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
like
I get
some
the
kind
sense
of
that
vicious cycle.
Troll still believes that he's going to die by Onrak's side, and
Yeah.
that it's all going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sort of oddly, we just pop over to Quickben and Hedge, who I guess are witnessing this,
Yes.
and they're like, Quickben's like, we're lucky that didn't turn into something violent.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't drop a fang. He's like, drop a fang? He's like, hey, guess what? I got some knowledge. I don't know how I got this, but the Finnest is here. Scabandari Blood Eye's soul is here. He's like, where? Here, man, right here.
Yeah. And I think this is also the scene where those three Talon Mimas go in or like they kneel before.
Yes, right.
So it's sort of like this is the moment where there's like sort of those three sort of perspectives of who's doing what and what does this mean for this realm.
Yes.
Could have been an explosive battle of like who's going to be the leader here, but instead the one tiny faction knelt and joined the other faction, and then Onrak and Troll just were like, we're just going to keep doing our thing, kind of is what I got from it.
Totally. And I'm anticipating a convergence of the folks, Silchus and crew arriving, although where they end up is we're going to find out in a second, not here, but I feel like if the Finnest is there, that's where the showdown is going to be between all the people that want the Finnest.
Yeah. Can I also shout out one thing that I think we missed from a previous chapter that just as interesting as everybody is sort of eking closer and closer to wherever they've been traveling to. We've got these folks here. They're already by the Finnest. Yeah. We've got Silchus and crew that we'll talk about in a sec. But then at the end of all the battling, somebody talks to Fiddler or somebody and is like, you're like less than a day from Letherus.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody's
coming.
Yeah.
It's all convergencing as usual with the ends of these novels. And
Convergencing.
Excited. I turned it into a verb.
Converging.
Okay, sure. Use English.
No, they're convergencing. We know. This is the way.
Making a convergence. Okay, so the final scene, major dun 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 at the end of this chapter 21. Saren Pedak and the crew, they come to this crazy gate that's been blown apart.
Sad Boys Club
checking it out. Saren doesn't like the fact that Fear keeps guarding her. It's like, ugh, get this guy away from me. And she kind of has a pretty insightful observation about gender roles.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty powerful stuff. And I love how the novel explicitly states what has been implicit in this series so far, which is sort of magic is the great equalizer, right?
Yeah.
For the battle of the sexes in a sense. I just thought that was a really cool sequence.
Yeah.
And then Udanos is like, hey, Clip, I'm glad when you're flipping your chain around, I'm glad you haven't garroted yourself. And Saren's like, oh,
what?
That's right. It is a garrote.
And Clip's like, no, and like runs through the gate, just like the silent shock, but then also like, I always think of it as like teen tension of being like, oh, you noticed? Oh, I thought I was
Yeah.
being so.
I thought I was being so cool.
Yeah.
She's like, you're an assassin. And they walk through the gate. Dun, dun, dun. World of volcanic ash. A sea of dead dragons.
The ones that we can assume that Kilimanjaros was murdering in the epilogue or the
That's prologue. Yeah. They have moved from the Tist realm to this is Starval Demolane. They're in it. I don't really know what that means exactly for what they have to do next.
I know. I was like, sounds so important.
It's very big deal. I don't know what's next. Because like they're going for the thinnest, and like that's definitely not where the thinnest is. But
I mean, that bunch of dead dragons.
Big deal.
Scabandari, dead dragon.
Yeah. Right.
Makes sense
that's
that
true.
they could like sense their way, and Kilimanjaro's punched him in the face.
That's
so
right.
Makes sense that his sort of corpse would be there, that they could maybe weasel a gate through his whole head.
Very excited for next week.
Me too.
Go back to 2 chapters, but they're big ones, biggies.
That we are. The next 2 are biggies as well.
Yeah, and then chapter 24, I understand, is the 5th longest chapter in the entire series.
Whoo!
So that'll be a standalone chapter that week. But I think this is the last 2 weeks, right?
Chapter 24 and epilogue. Yeah, 2 more weeks.
Reaper's Gale, everybody.
Whoo!
Pretty good. Okay, we got we're super long, but we got a couple of quotes. I got quotes. Oops. I got some good quotes.
I got some good quotes. Should have loaded these quotes.
My first one is very short. I can start with it.
You do it.
Just a single sentence. This is from Janeth's point of view. She says this sentence. I love it. When thugs were in power, educated people were the first to feel their fists.
I love that. I think I have a sentence that's...
Oh, actually, how that continues is actually pretty good, too. She says, it was so pathetic, really, how so much violence came from someone feeling small of mind, and it did not matter how big the sword in hand, that essential smallness remained, gnawing with very sharp teeth.
Mm.
I'm not going to say specifically who that makes me think of, but that definitely makes me think of somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I have a pretty long one that I'll pull.
Yeah.
That's actually just right at the very beginning of chapter 19.
Okay.
This is Saren Pedak, sort of descending through darkness. She had been no different from any other child with her childish dreams of love. Proud and tall, a hero to stride into her life, taking her in his arms and sweeping away all her fears like silts rushing down a stream to vanish in some distant ocean. The benediction of clarity and simplicity, oh my, yes, that had been a most cherished dream. Although Saren Pedak could remember that child, could remember the twisting anguish in her stomach as she yearned for salvation, an anguish delicious in all its possible obliterations, she would not indulge in nostalgia. False visions of the world were a child's right, not something to be resented, but neither were they worthy of any adult sense of longing. In Hull Benedict, after all, the young Saren Pedak had believed for a time, a long time in fact, before her foolish dream finally withered away, that she had found her wondrous hero, her majestic conjuration whose every glance was a blessing on her heart. So she had learned how purity was poison, the purity of her faith, that is, that such heroes existed, for her, for anyone. Hull Benedict had died in Letherus, or rather his body had died there. The rest had died in her arms just years before then. In a way, she had used him, and perhaps not just used him, but raped him, devouring his belief, stealing away his vision of himself, of his place in the world, of all the meaning that he, like any other man, sought for his own life. She had found her hero, and had then, in ways subtle and cruel, destroyed him under the siege of reality as she had seen it, as she still saw it. That had been the poison within her, the battle between the child's dream and the venal cynicism that had seeped into adulthood, and Hull had been both her weapon and her victim.
So good.
Mm.
So good.
Mm.
This is Featherwitch and the Errant debating how to control people, basically. Featherwitch, listen well to your God, to this modest sliver of wisdom. The lives of others are not yours to use. Offer them bliss, yes, but do not be disappointed when they choose misery, because the misery is theirs. And in deciding to choose someone else's path or their own, they will choose their own path. The Sheikh have a saying, open to them your hand to the shore, watch them walk into the sea. No wonder they were wiped out. Featherwitch, listen to my wisdom now, Errant. Wisdom the Sheikh should have heeded. When it comes to using the lives of others, the first thing to take from them is the privilege of choice. Once you have done that, the rest is easy.
Good.
Man,
Good.
if that isn't trenchant.
I love it. I love it.
Do you have any more?
I
have
do.
One more. Yeah, good.
This one from this is Venat Sathad's perspective.
Yeah.
Your first one is from, this is not the one from Janeth. My brain connects these two. Tyrannical control was dependent on a multitude of often disparate forces, running the gamut from perception to overt viciousness. The sense of power needed to be pervasive in order to create and maintain the illusion of omniscience. Invigilator Karis and Vicdad understood that much, at least, but where the thug in red silks failed was an understanding that thresholds existed, and to cross them, with ever greater acts of brutality, with paranoia and fear and ever-rising fever, was to see the illusion shattered. At some point, no matter how repressive the regime, the citizenry will come to comprehend the vast power in their hands. The destitute, the indebted, the beleaguered middle classes, in short, the myriad victims. Control was sleight of hand trickery, and against 100,000 defiant citizens, it stood no real chance. All at once, the game was up.
Yeah, I think that's from the same section where this line, he says, it is a sad truth, Orban, that all who have been rewarded by tyranny must eventually share an identical fate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's so good. All right, I have one more. Do you have any other ones?
I have one single sentence one that I'll say, and then you do yours.
Yeah.
Never mind the truth. The past is what I say it is. That is the freedom of teaching the ignorant.
The freedom of teaching the ignorant. Oh my God. Too true. It's too true.
Uh-huh.
Right? This is a longer section, but I just think it's beautiful prose. This is part of the description of the underwater area that what's his name is in. Begins with a B.
Bruthen,
thank you. The rotted wood of ship timbers burst into clouds beneath his feet. Clotted rivets turned underfoot. Fragments that might be bone skittered and danced along the muddy bottom, carried every which way by the currents. Disillusion seemed to be the curse of the world, of all the worlds. All that broke, all that failed, wandered down to some final resting place, lost to darkness. And this went beyond ships on the sea and the lives on those ships. Whales, Denrabi, the tiniest crustacean. Plans, schemes, and grandiose visions. Love, faith, and honor. Ambition, lust, and malice. He could reach down and scoop it all into his hands, watching the water tug it away, fling it out into a swirling, momentary path of glittering glory, then gone once more.
so good. Having read almost 2 full chapters out loud, we get to do these favorite passages every week, and it is such a joy to read them.
I agree.
There are full sections that I wanted to pull as favorite sentences because of how pleasant they are to say. Yeah. And I feel like it is, for folks out there who find your favorite sentences, I recommend reading them out loud to somebody. It is a different and wonderful delightful experience to feel the words and the rhythm of them in your mouth. It's great.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And to me, that's one of the hallmarks of great writing. Yeah. Is the joy in the speaking of the words.
Yeah.
Yeah. A privilege to read, a privilege to enjoy this with you. Thank you. I'm excited. 2025 is here. A new year. We're in the home stretch of both this novel and the series. My goodness.
Crazy. Do we finish this year? 3 books?
Oh yeah. We will.
We will.
What do you mean? It's not going to take us a year to read the next 2 books.
Look, I don't do math, Kanata.
We shall see. Maybe, who knows? Anything can happen. I don't want to tempt fate, but whatever the case, we are delighted that you're with us. Please do continue to reach out. Let us know what you think, what we got wrong.
Non-spoiler topics?
Topics. That's right. Topics for the beginning of the show. Please send them dlcfeedback@gmail.com. All right. See you next week. Hope you have a wonderful start to your new year with dancing.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it